Evening peeps, good evening everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. First things first, thank you so much to everyone that jumped on the live last night. I really appreciate it. The first one of the year. The next one will be this coming Saturday, Beterbiev versus Yard. There are a few things that I do want to improve on in the live. Like I do want to get the clock in so you guys know what round and what time in the round we're in, and also the camera quality. I do have new cameras. I just need to set them up because I do think the camera quality is lacking on the current cameras. Like the iPhone quality is a lot better than a digital camera, which is crazy. So I do have a couple of new cameras. I will play about with those in the next couple of days. I'm not quite sure what happened with the internet as well yesterday. Like where I am right now, the internet is super fast, but it did seem to drop out a couple of times. So yeah, look, a couple of things that we need to improve on. But I guess ultimately we're starting, and I think it was a really good live yesterday. All right, let's talk about the fight. I did a video in the immediate aftermath, and I was still in a bit of shock. I still am, actually. I'll be honest with you, I still am in a bit of shock. It's funny, I was reading the comments, and a few people are, Addy, why are you surprised? I'm like, how can you not be surprised? How can you not be? I mean, no one predicted that. Like, people gave Liam Smith a chance. I did. I was flip-flopping as to who I thought was going to win. But I thought if Liam wins, it's going to be by points. And I thought it would be very, very close by points. If anything, I predicted if anyone's going to knock out anyone, it's going to be Chris Eubank knocking out Liam Smith. I didn't predict that Liam Smith would put Eubank to sleep the way in which he did. Didn't predict it at all. And I think it surprised everyone in the boxing world. Like, I know a lot of people reached out to me like 1 or 2 in the morning wanting to have a conversation about the fight, people based in America. And I'm like, I know, I'm shocked as well. Before we talk Eubank Smith and what next for Eubank, I'm going to do a separate video about what next for Smith, because the next fight for Smith should be a big one, hopefully Anfield. I want to quickly talk about the undercard fights very quickly. Joseph Parker against Jack Massey. Bit flat from Joseph Parker, started the fight fast, and then it just became quite predictable. So much so that Jack Massey started reading him and landing some good shots. If anything, Jack Massey actually landed the better shots, but not enough work from Jack Massey, who I think would have been happy just to go all the way with Joseph Parker. Look, an upset would have been like a lottery ticket, but I do think he gets a lot out of going all the way with what's Joseph Parker, a top 15, top 20 heavyweight. I think Jack Massey will grow in confidence from that performance because he did take some big shots from Joseph Parker, who is a decent puncher, not like a one-punch KO guy, but it does have good power. And the fact that Jack Massey was able to take those punches is a good thing. For Joseph, I'm trying to think what you get out of this. I guess you get out of the fact that there doesn't seem to be any spillover from the Joe Joyce fight. Remember, that fight was in September. A lot of people thought this was very quick for him to come back. How would he take it when someone hits him? What's his engine like? And he seemed to be okay, but it wasn't the best performance. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Joseph Parker next. There are so many names in the heavyweight division, so he's not going to be short of names. He's okay. Richard Riakporhe beat Glowacki, stopped him. He hurt him, I think it was in the second round. As he tried to come in to finish him, he did get caught. This is Riakporhe with a nice little right hook, but he went back to the corner, regrouped, and when he did go for the finish, he looked spiteful. I think the referee jumped in early. I mean, Glowacki wasn't throwing back, but there wasn't anything really significant landing. But look, fighter safety and all that. So yeah, Richard Riakporhe moves on. He called out all the world champions. Chris Smith stepped in the ring, so maybe there's a Chris Smith rematch in 2023. I know Akoli wants to fight. Akoli obviously is now with Boxer, so it's an easy fight to make. And Eko Usman, congratulations to him on a gritty performance against Chris Congo. It wasn't pretty at times, but he has a way of just grinding you down. He sits on your chest. He's nicknamed the Engine. I spoke to him and he said, look, I can go 15 rounds. And I think he showed that. For Chris Congo, that's now 2 defeats against domestic opposition. I'm not quite sure where you go, Chris Congo. For Eko Usman, you can go Michael Mickinson. That's a fight to see. You could argue who's the best welterweight in the country. I know some of you might say Conor Benn, but it's an argument to see who the best is. Or you just go to America and, you know, you have that big fight. You try and get one of the guys. Again, look, he's unbeaten. He's got the British. He's got the Commonwealth. What else he got? He's got IBF European. So it's not like he doesn't have stock with him if he goes to America. So good luck to Eko Usman. All right, let's talk about what next for Chris Eubank Jr. I said that I think he should call it quits. Probably a quick reaction. Is when you watch someone get knocked down the way he did and his legs start to wobble, and you've never seen that from someone before. I think you can quickly jump to reaction, and maybe I did jump. My thing with Eubank isn't that there aren't fights out there for him. Like he's only been knocked out once. I mean, it's not as though fighters haven't been knocked out and have come back from it and had good careers or gone on to have a couple of good wins. Is I don't know how much he actually really likes boxing and cares about boxing. I'm not quite sure. And the reason I say it is I even look at his training situation. There were times when he was quite arrogant, thinking, he can train himself. Do you remember that? He went through that period. He went to Roy Jones's farm and he stayed on there, and it looked like that was a good partnership. I don't quite know what he's learned from Roy, if I'm honest with you. I'm not quite sure what Roy offers Chris at this stage of Chris's career as a trainer. There is that, what people have said of him being caught in two styles. Like when you think of Chris before Roy, very aggressive, on the front foot, in your face, like he's swarming you. Go and watch the James DeGale fight. Go and watch the Avni Yildirim fight. Go and watch the Arthur Abraham fight. They're his 3 biggest wins, and go and watch the way in which he fights. Now it's very much on the back foot, using a jab. And I mean, look, it's not a bad style, but it's not his style. It's a bit like what people say about AJ, like AJ going from a brawler to a boxer. It's maybe not as bad as that, but it's a bit like that. Like, we know Chris is good at one thing. Like, Chris is not an elite boxer. I think, if you watch Chris for as long as we've all watched him grow up, you're not watching someone who's a very good boxer, but what you are is watching someone that will literally swarm you with just athleticism, power, strength, and then there's a little bit of boxing ability. And I don't mean to be rude, but that's true. What we're trying to change him into now in his 30s is a boxer off the back foot with a jab. So I don't know how much Chris is willing to change. I don't know how much Chris is willing to listen to boxing people, and I mean trainers that I know have tried to reach out in the past. So that's why I say he should maybe call it quits, because I don't know if he... Look, no one necessarily likes boxing. Like, who likes getting punched in the face? Who likes cutting weight? Who likes sparring? All the things you've got to do to be an elite boxer. But those are the things you've got to do at the elite level. And if you don't like them, and I don't think Chris necessarily likes them, then... Do you know what I mean? Or not even, don't like them is the wrong word. If you don't welcome that, knowing that this is what I've got to do to be the best, like this is it. I am limited in boxing ability, so I've got to somehow overcome that with everything else. I don't know if we get that from Chris. There are still fights out there for him. Someone reached out to me today and said, is the Conor Benn fight still big? And I'm like, don't know if it is anymore. I'm not quite sure if it is. Could you sell a rematch? In Chris's eyes, you can. Look, I will say this, though, in credit to Chris, a fight of that magnitude and all the things that were said before, you could forgive Chris just walking out the ring. I've seen people do it. We've seen do it. Like, we've seen loads of people do it. I ain't doing no interviews, and they just vanish. Chris went up to Liam, congratulated him straight after the fight, congratulated Liam when Liam was doing his interview, didn't shy away from interviews backstage with Sky and Boxer. So I like the fact that he's not running away from it. He's taking it head on. And that's a very good thing to have. You've got to be very strong-minded. But in the back of Chris's mind, he will question himself. He's going to question the weight cut to 160. He's going to question the fact that he's sort of dined out on having this granite chin. And it's not something that he's really said about himself. We've said it about him. So those things will question all of that right now. Question all of it. I don't know who I said this to. I said this to someone. I said, who was it? I said to someone anyway, when Chris cut down when he didn't need to, Andy Clark, I said, when Chris cut down to that 159 pounds when he was going to fight Conor Benn and didn't need to, it reminds me a bit of Tony Ferguson. I don't know if you guys follow the UFC, but there's a guy called Tony Ferguson who was going to have a fight. The fight got canned. Tony Ferguson, for some reason, still decided to show that he could make 155 pounds. Trust me, these weight cuts take a lot out of your body, take a lot of fluid from your brain. I don't know why he did that in hindsight, and he looked awful doing that 159 cut. And now I look back and think, why did you do that? Why did you deplete your body the way you depleted it? And then you've gone straight into this fight with Liam Smith and done exactly the same thing. They are depleted. They might look fabulous on the scales, but their bodies are depleted of everything, literally of everything. And one of those things is fluid to the brain, which is why when people do cut weight, you see their punch resistance goes. So he might be thinking about jumping up to 168. If he jumps up to 168, I think we saw it when he had that run at 168. When you take on the big boys, that is too big. Like, I've been around Chris, I've been around the likes of Benavidez, massive. Even Canelo, stout, stocky. He's a bit too small for 168. So he's going to have to ask questions of himself like, do I really want this? Remember, this is 33 now. We're not talking Chris at 27 where you can say, you know what, stick him in with a real good trainer. Let him go to a Derek James, a Buddy McGirt. Let him go to Robert Garcia, trainers over here. Joe McNally, if it's not Liam Smith again. Like, do I do that? Do I want to do that? Or am I going to stick with Roy and take on Liam Smith again and do that weight cut to 160 again? Because to me, the only fights that make sense right now in terms of him sticking around are at 160. And I really do believe that weight cut has a lot to do with him getting knocked out yesterday. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Smith. Smith can punch. Not a concussive puncher, but can hit. But I do think the weight cut to 160 is having a lot on him. It's having a lot on him. And we've seen it over the years. The best boxers, the smart boxers, always take that jump, don't they? When the weight cut starts to get a bit harder, they jump, because they know what it takes out of their body. So yeah, I do think one of the options for Chris will be retirement. In the aftermath of fights, everyone talks about, one more, because no fighter wants to go out like that. But he'll sit with his team. He's been for a lot in the last couple of years. You think about his brother passing away, the situation with his dad. It looks like his dad's going through something. So he's been through a lot. So I think all of it will sort of come into the decision whether or not he wants to continue. Personally, you guys know me. Get in, get rich, get out. I think the sport's dangerous. I think the sport is very dangerous. I love it, but the dangers are there. He's made a lot of money. The problem is there was so much money on the table if he won. So much money on the table. Loads. Whether it be a Kell Brook fight, pay-per-view, Golovkin fight, pay-per-view, Conor Benn fight, pay-per-view, Jamal Charlo over in America, pay-per-view, Munguia, DAZN, pay. There was so much. Yanni Beck, all of that. He'll be wanting some of that. The only way he gets that is if he fights Liam Smith again at 160. Anfield. Sold out. Is it worth it? Will fans get behind it? Don't know. I don't know. Look, he had some success in the second round and the third round. I thought the first round Liam won. Liam landed a nice little right hand that won it. Second round even. Third round he started to land that uppercut and really started to get into what I thought was a rhythm. And then he just got caught, man. He just got caught and didn't recover. People have spoken about the fact that did he get up too quick? He's never been down as a pro, so he doesn't know what to do, does he? He doesn't know what to do. I'm trying to think. Wasn't the corner, might be wrong here, probably am. What corner did he get? Was that his corner that he got knocked down in, or was that the opposite? I'm not quite sure. If that was his corner, you'd like to think that Roy would have said, stay down, like take the 7, the 8, get up at 9, do that. Almost a bit like, when Tyson Fury got knocked down with Deontay Wilder, and you feel like he's out, but he's actually just taking his time. Then he gets up. That's experience of being knocked down. If you've never been knocked down before, you have no idea what to do. And once he got up, his legs were gone. And I think the referee could have stopped it from that, but continue because it was Chris Eubank. But yeah, look, what next for Eubank? My advice, not listening to me, obviously, call it quits. Others will say it's only one big knockout defeat. Keep going. We'll see. He's got decisions to make. Peace and love.